Hello everyone, how are you? How are you doing? How's your week been? How's the start of your week been? Let me know. I'd love to know. Not that you can reply to this, but maybe say it out loud. Anywho, I'm feeling great. I don't know why. I feel like a new lease of life has come over me. I don't know what's happened. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit quieter with my work at the moment. So I'm getting a bit more time to do things I love and getting on top of things, which I always think is so nice. When you can get on top of things, it's such a good feeling. You're like, yes, I've done this. I've also had some really wholesome weekends recently, which have been so lovely. I went down to Brighton to see my friend Meg, and we celebrated her birthday. And we did pottery painting, and it was so wholesome, and I loved it. I love wholesome things. I love a wholesome life. It's like my go-to favorite thing on this planet. I love a wholesome life. I think a wholesome life is the best kind of life, in my opinion. So I did that, and I also got my nails done yesterday, and I'm feeling so fresh and so new. I don't know about any of you gals out there, but when I get my nails done, and when they've been grown out for so long, it is such a nice feeling. So I feel fresh. I feel ready. For a new week, even though it's Tuesday right now. But still, not the point. So yeah, very exciting. But today I actually wanted to talk about something that I think we all pretty much feel, and that is jealousy, and how you can turn that jealousy into inspiration. Now, this is an idea that isn't my idea. This is something I've heard quite a lot, and I have thought about quite a lot. And I actually, when I feel jealous, I talk myself through things to stop myself feeling like in that negative headspace with it. So I really wanted to talk about it today, about how you can channel your jealousy into inspiration, into good vibes, into just, all the positivity in the world. I think that jealousy, initially, we believe it to be a negative thing. We all know that it's a negative thing. Well, it doesn't have to be negative, but I think that's how we all see it. When you're jealous of someone, it means that you want that something they have, or you're not happy for them, or etc., etc. And a lot of people, when they are jealous, will find different ways to knock you down without you realizing that they're jealous of you, if that makes sense. So, for instance, if you got something that you're really happy with, you bought a handbag, let's say, and your friend is jealous of you, they may then try to knock you down in ways that has nothing to do with that handbag, but just little small ways, which you won't realize is because they're jealous, but it's a way in which to knock you down. So yes, you've got that thing, but you can't do this, that, and the other kind of thing. Very normal to have that happen. It's also very normal to feel jealous, and I don't want any of you guys out there who's thinking, oh my god, I'm really struggling to even try and see the positive in jealousy because XYZ. So don't feel bad for it. It's very, very normal. I think a lot of us do feel it, and we struggle to sometimes deal with the jealousy, which is why I wanted to talk about it, because I actually think there are so many things you can do to twist it and turn it into something a little bit more positive, which is what we like to see. We like positive life. I'm a positive galley. Why did I say it like that? Girly. And anyone who's listening who might think, do you know what? Every time I see something happening to someone, or good's happening to someone, I'm getting really jealous about it, and it's not good, and I'm not seeing it as a good thing. And I mean, I see it all the time, things that I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous, or everyone feels those jealousy things. Sometimes you'll feel jealous and it will just be like a passing comment, and you'll just be like, oh, I'm so jealous of that. And then there's times when you feel it in your body, like it's here. You feel the jealousy right here, and you're like, and you go into slight panic, and you start to think, oh my god, I want that. Why don't I have that? And then you start comparing yourself, and you start getting into a deep hole, and that's not what we want. We don't want that. It makes sense though when you think about it, because jealousy is something that we see as a negative. We've always seen as a negative. That's just how you're kind of brought up to believe that it's how it is. But when you think about it, all you need to do is rewire your brain so that when you feel this negative feeling, or when you get jealous, you then twist and turn it. I actually know this is a positive thing. And that's why I thought that's what we need to talk about. Let's talk about how you can rewire your brain and ways that you can turn your jealousy into inspiration. Let's go. before I get into the what do you call it, the points, the thoughts on this, I first came across this idea from Roxy Nafusi. I love her 7 Ways to Manifest, I think it's what it's called, or Manifest. It's 7 Steps to Manifest. I'm so sorry I got it wrong. I'm so sorry, it's definitely wrong. But anyway, Roxy Nafusi's books, I've read both of them and I love them. I think they're really, really good books. If you're looking to get into manifesting, or you want to feel a little bit more positive, or you want to think about things a bit differently, I highly recommend. I read the second one on my holiday and I just felt like it gave me a new lease of life. So if you need that, I highly recommend. But she talks a lot about turning envy into inspiration, and it's kind of the same thing. Envy, jealousy is very similar. And that's kind of where I first heard about this whole idea. And I think it's a good way of thinking. But as I've done a bit more research and as I've thought about it more, I do genuinely believe what she's saying is completely right. And I do think that there are so many ways you can turn these thoughts into a positive thing, and then ultimately attract more positivity into your life and more good things into your life. I think when you delve into the negative and you go deep into the negative thoughts with jealousy, envy, anything like that, you then are only going to attract more negative thoughts. And we don't want negativity. We want positivity. So these are really good ways of basically bringing the positivity into your life and looking at something that's quite traditionally negative and bringing it into the positive. And that is what we love. My number one thing is that you've got to recognize that it doesn't have to be bad. Jealousy doesn't have to be bad. We obviously see it as bad, but you don't have to see it as bad. See it as some sort of redirection. When you get jealous, it almost heightens something in you that wants that thing. So let's use, someone buying a house as an example. You kind of want a house, but it's not top of your priority, but you'd quite like to buy a house. Someone you see on social media has just bought a house. And maybe they're younger than you, maybe they've done it quicker than you, maybe you never realised they were going to buy a house. Who knows? You see it and you're like, oh my God, I want that. That's not fair. I want that. Why do you see it as not fair? Well, you're just looking at it as a negative, because I think sometimes we get in our heads and we believe that we should be the only person to do that. We should be the only person to get there. We should get there before everyone else. And actually, sometimes you have to remember that everyone's on their different paths. You could have been going at the same speed, but then something happened to that person and they got the house before you got your house. That's nothing on the fact that you won't get your house. That's just the fact that they've got there before you. And that's nothing to do with them being better, you being worse than them, anything like that. It's just that they got the house first. So when you get these bouts of jealousy and you start to feel a little bit like, whoa, oh my God, I want that. I want that. You have to see it as like, okay, so this is a strong feeling I feel. I'm feeling strongly about this. And then you just have to start thinking about, okay, why am I feeling like this? What is the deep root to it? And usually the root is something that you want. And I've felt it myself, when you see someone achieving something or getting something or working with a brand and you think, oh, I want to do that. And then it makes you realize, okay, that's something I want. That's something I want to do. That's something I feel deep within me that I want to do. So then it starts to make you realize, oh, okay, I want these things. And when you feel these like bouts of jealousy and you start to feel like really jealous of someone, write what it is that you're jealous about down. So if it is someone's bought a house, write it down, because that's when you know you want to buy a house. If you do social media and you see someone hit 300k before you, or they're creeping up closer to the amount of followers and you've not grown in ages, you write that down. You want to hit 300k. Write all these things down that you want, that you feel are things that you feel jealous of other people. Now, it's not that you should feel like bad about it, because I think that jealousy does open so many doors and it makes you realize a lot of things. And I sometimes, when I feel jealous, I have to literally have a chat in my brain and be like, come on, This doesn't stop you doing anything. It doesn't affect you. It's just something that's happened. So if someone is buying a house and they bought the house before you, that doesn't mean to say you're not going to get there, and it doesn't affect you. It actually doesn't affect you. It's just something you've seen. So there's so many other people out there who are buying houses at the same time. It could be just because it's that person. It could be that you've just seen it and you're like, oh my God, like I really want to buy a house, but I can't yet. You have to look at the bigger picture with it. You have to think about, okay, well, they're buying a house. They've bought a house. But right now, I actually can't physically buy a house because I don't have the money for it. So why am I jealous of this? I'm jealous because I want that. I'm jealous because I desire that thing. And that leads me on to the second one, which basically is recognizing that jealousy is often the desires that you want. It's the things that you so desperately would love to have in your life. That's what jealousy almost is. It's something that we want, but we don't have. And when you realize that jealousy feeling, that feeling within you is the feeling that you want that thing that they don't have, it starts to make you realize, okay, I need to look at this in a different way. I need to think about this in a different way, because sometimes you see something and you just think, oh, I really want that, and it hits you, and it makes you feel really sad and makes you feel down, and you spiral. But these things are so cool and so exciting, and you want to get those things, but you have to think about where you're at and what you're doing and what they're doing and how they've got there and how you haven't got there or whatnot. You've got to think about it. There's so much to it. It's not just a case of like that person got there without doing something to get there. Like if someone's buying a house, they've bought a house because they've saved the money, they've worked towards it, they've got there. You just got to keep going at your own pace. Everyone is at their own, my phone keeps buzzing and it's annoying me. Everyone is at their own, what's the word? They're all on their own time zone. Just because someone has done something before you doesn't mean to say you, like I said, you won't get there. But it does make you realize everything that you ever desire. And everyone's jealousy things are going to be different. The type of people that get jealous of certain things, like, I don't know, materialistic things, aren't necessarily going to be the types of people that get jealous about, I don't know, buying a house. Who knows? But actually, it could be. But everyone's got different things that they're jealous of and things that they panic about and worry about. For me, when I see someone like, this shouldn't matter, and this is why it annoys me that I get annoyed about it, is when someone's getting like similar amount of followers than you and you haven't grown. That is something that for me, I think, oh God, like why are they doing better and why am I not doing great? And actually, it's not a case of that. It's just like sometimes you're going to go through a lull where you're not going to gain any followers and it's not going to be going so great, and then it will spike, and then maybe you'll go in a lull again. The lull could be really long or it could be really short, but sometimes you have to just deal with it. It's not because you're bad. It's not anything to do with you. It's completely out of your hands. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just have to keep doing what you're doing. Maybe you need to like reevaluate, sit back and think, okay, I'm desiring this thing. How have I not got it yet? How am I not at that point? You just need to think about it. You need to just think about how you can get that desire. Ask yourself, why do you feel jealous about this thing or the person? Now, this links to the previous point that I was making. Why are you jealous? What is it? Because sometimes it's not necessarily that you want that thing. It's like it almost makes you feel a little bit panicked because someone else is doing something. Now, to put it into context and to make you understand how this might relate to me, I have a podcast, right? I've been doing this for a year and a bit. I think I started in April of 2022. So a year and a bit. And it's been a learning curve. It's been something that I've always done on the side. It was never like my priority. It's become more of a priority now because like you guys listening makes me so happy, and it's so nice to hear from all of you and see the progress. And I started doing a podcast because I wanted something outside of the fashion content that I work on so much, and I love doing fashion content and I love that, but it's nice to have something away from that, right? So I started my podcast and I was really happy with it. Not really any other people within my area were doing podcasts. Obviously there are people, but like not in my close, like people that I follow and whatnot. And then someone also did a podcast, and I felt this weird jealousy feeling, and I don't know why, because I already had a podcast. I was really confused. I didn't know why I felt like this. I basically couldn't understand why I was feeling jealous, because someone else was doing a podcast when I already had one. I'd already been doing it for a while. And I think the jealousy only came from this idea that they would get there first, or they would become successful first, and they would do better than me, or people would follow them more, and like I wouldn't be as good. And ultimately that isn't the case. There's like space for everyone to do everything. Do you know what I mean? Like if you want to start a podcast. If you want to start an Instagram and do influencing, do that. Like I can't sit here and be like this person that preaches about, you know, there's space for everyone, and then be jealous about something. But naturally you're going to have those feelings, like everyone does. But I sat there for ages and I felt really annoyed. And I think I'd kind of not expected it to happen, which naturally, why would you if you're not going to be thinking about what everyone else is doing? And I felt really jealous of it. And I was like, I shouldn't feel jealous of this because I have my own podcast. But yeah, I think it was just purely the fact that what if they get there before me? What if they do better than me? What if I'm not as good? What if people don't listen to mine and they listen to hers? And then I had to have a whole chat with myself, and my friend Meg actually helped me with this one. And I had to be like, come on, like you're just as good, and also completely different people. The things you're going to talk about are probably not going to be the same, and your podcast can be different. You can't compare yourself to the next person. Everyone is different, and everyone has different qualities and different things that people like to listen to. The people that listen to my podcast aren't necessarily going to be the people that listen to the next podcast. So why am I stressing? Why am I worrying? Why am I bothered about it? But you know, we all have these feelings that make us feel a little bit like, oh, what if I don't get there? And it's not that you won't get there, and it's not that they won't get there. Sometimes it just takes a bit of time. And like, I know that this podcast is a slow process, you know, and I'm loving it. I love this podcast so much. Like it's like literally my favorite thing. I love doing it. I love chatting, and I love talking to you guys. So ultimately that's the main reason why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to become like a major successful podcaster, even though I do really see that happening. Manifesting it. I'm manifesting that this is going to be a really big podcast. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to become a big podcast. I hope it will, and that's how I see it going, and I genuinely believe it will be. But right now it's just a small little podcast, and I'm loving it. So I've just got to, it's like taking a step back and being like, whoa, okay, what is it that's going on here? What is it that's making me feel this way? Because sometimes it's not that you're jealous of the person. It's like you're jealous of something else that links to that person. Do you know what I mean? It's like they might get there first, or like, oh my God, that boy's going to like her more now. Or, I don't know, now that he's wearing those really cool clothes and he's dressing better, all the girls are going to go for him and not me. Those kind of things. You all just have to like think about where it's coming from, where it's stemming from. That is something you really have to understand in order to rewire your brain when it comes to jealousy, because sometimes the things aren't the person that you're jealous of. It's like either the thing they have or like something else that like gets to that point. Do you know what I mean? The next one, which I think links on quite well, is gratitude. You have to be grateful for where you're at, what you're doing, where you're going. Gratitude is one of the most important things in this world. And it's something that I do live by. I'm so grateful for where I'm at. I'm so grateful for the life I get to live. I get to live a really, really good life, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm just so grateful for it. And I always, you know, say this. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all of you guys listening. I'm so grateful for my TikToks popping off and like bringing in a new audience. It's so nice to have all of you listening, and it's something that I think everyone should have in their day-to-day life. Writing a gratitude journal, writing down like the good things that have happened in that day, writing down positive things. There's so many things to be grateful for, so many things to be excited about, happy about. Life is good. And when you're jealous about something, let's go back to the house analogy. If you want to buy a house, analogy, is that even the right word? Probably not. if you want to buy a house, someone's already bought a house, right? Your friend, someone you know, maybe it's an arch enemy, maybe it's someone you don't like. They've just bought a house. And you're thinking, oh, I really want to buy a house, but right now I can't buy a house. Be grateful for where you're at. Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the fact you have a roof over your head. Be grateful for the fact that you can save money. Be grateful for the fact that, you know you'll get there one day. Be grateful for what you have, and it will help you get closer to that goal. It really, really will. And it's almost like when you feel jealous, you have all these things that you now want to do, you now know you want. The gratitude comes into the play of like, be grateful for what you already have, because what you already have is amazing. Buying a house and doing those things are so great, but it's not something you necessarily need. You don't need to buy a house. Buying a house, obviously, we all want to do. Don't need it. You can rent. You have a roof over your head. Like, for instance, for me, I would love to buy a house. I don't have enough money to buy a house. Not right now. But I don't see myself buying a house on my own. I see myself buying a house with someone. So right now, buying a house it's not even anywhere near the top of my list. It's something I'd love to do. It's not the top of my list. I'm very comfortable, happy renting. But I would feel the same if there was someone close by to me, bought a house. Sometimes it's that, like, if they're younger than you feel a bit like, oh, should I have bought a house by now? And I actually think these days, I know this is not about buying a house, but I really do. Well, I'm talking generally here. Oh my God, I'm just literally regurgitating words. Let me go back. This podcast is not about houses, but I genuinely believe that so many of us now are so just content renting until we feel ready for buying a house. I think throughout like the pandemic and stuff, people were buying houses, and it was like, what the fuck? Everyone's buying houses and they're so young, and I'm, this age and I've not even thought about it. All of these different things. But yeah, be grateful for the life you have, and it will hopefully, when you are feeling these jealous moments, so you start to feel jealous, just be like, no, do you know what? I'm grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for things I have. I'm doing good. Another way of looking at it, and another way that might help you to rewire your brain, is imagining your jealousy is your best friend. So if there's this person, you don't know them, or maybe you do know them, or, maybe they're just someone that you've seen, but you're jealous of them. Imagine that person is your best friend. How would you feel if that was your best friend getting all those things? You'd probably feel happy. You'd be excited. You'd be celebratory. You'd be like, oh my God, I'm so excited. You'd be so excited for your friend if that was your friend. But because it's not your friend, you don't necessarily feel excited about it, right? So when someone reaches their goal and they do really well and you're jealous of it, congratulate them. Treat them like your friend. You don't actually have to congratulate them if you don't know them. But if there's someone on social media that you might know, like whenever someone has a baby or gets engaged, I'm like, oh my God, so exciting. This is so exciting. I genuinely do think it's exciting, but like also, I don't feel jealous about those things because I'm not at that point where I'm close to having those things. But I just always congratulate people. I always, even if I'm jealous, I will always, and I'm like, oh my God, I want that, or I want to do that. I'll always congratulate. I think it's important to say something nice in those moments. Don't just like completely disregard it because you're jealous, because that's when it kind of gets a little bit like, oh, you've not said something purely because you are jealous. I always think it's nice to, congratulate people. The people that don't congratulate you when you do something good are the people that, it always makes me feel a little bit like, okay. Because like when you achieve something, the people that are around you will be so excited and happy for you and be like, woohoo, you go girl. But the people that aren't happy for you won't say anything. And you don't want to get yourself into a habit where you're pissed off that you haven't got something, you're jealous of someone and you're not saying anything. And then when it comes to you achieving something, no one's saying anything because you didn't say anything to any of them. And I know this isn't necessarily like the truth. I'm sure a lot of people do actually congratulate and without you congratulating them. But I just think it works in two ways. If you want to be congratulated, you've also got to congratulate other people. You've got to celebrate other people. So when you get jealous and when you feel a little bit like, oh, I really want that thing. Treat them as if they were your best friend. Congratulate them. Say, oh my God, well done, babes. Just feel the feelings you would feel if that was your best friend. And maybe just switch it in your brain and be like, do you know what? If that was my best friend, I'd be so happy. Like, that's so exciting for her. That's so exciting for him. Oh my God, she bought a house. Amazing. That's so exciting. Oh my God, she hit a new goal. Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm so excited for you. Be happy for the person and look at it in a way in which, oh my God, this is so exciting for you. Like, I can't wait till I get to that goal. That's going to be so exciting when I reach that goal. Because you will get there, but you just don't want to look at someone's achievements, be jealous of them, and then be like, oh, well, that's it, I'm never going to get there. No, you're going to get there, but just be grateful and happy for them and be like, do you know what? Wow, yes, you've done it. Now I get the chance to do it. Now it's my turn next. And sometimes it gives you a little bit of like oomph. It gives you that little bit of like, come on, get off your bum and go do something. I've found before, with my jealousy, when I felt jealous about someone, when I felt a little bit like, oh my God, I've literally instantly been like, right, I need to change up something. I need to get on and do something else. I need to switch this up. I need to do something. It spurs me on so much. And I don't know why. I think it's almost like, I don't want to say it, but it's almost like you feel like that competitive side. And you're like, okay, well, if she can do it, I can do it too. I'm such a determination kind of person. Like, I'm so determined to do things. When I get it in my head, I'm doing it. And almost like this podcast, right? When I started doing the podcast, I was just doing it like chatting, no camera. And then I got this spur of the moment. I was like, I'm filming it. And I bought this camera and I started filming it. And I just did it. If I hadn't have had that moment of like jealousy or that thing to like push me a little bit, would I have filmed it as quick? I don't know. So it's kind of nice sometimes with jealousy because it pushes you in a way in which you wouldn't necessarily be pushed. It gives you a bit of oomph. It gives you a bit of drive. And even though you might have drive all the time, because I'm such a driven person, but sometimes you need that little bit of a push that makes you go, whoa, okay, I need to step up. We need to step this up. Because sometimes you just get so comfortable, and comfortable is great for a bit, but then you want to be pushed a bit further. And jealousy is something that can make you realize that. But like when you feel those jealousy moments, when you are jealous of someone, look at it in a way in which celebrate them, then look at it in which, okay, that's something I want. And then how can I get to where they are? What's the next step for me? What can I do next? Because that is something I often think about when I see someone who's achieved a new goal on social media and I'm like, oh, why am I not hitting it? Look at what I'm doing. I'll take a step back and be like, you're not really doing anything extra. You need to pump it up. Pump it up. Step it up. Get further along. And honestly, I've really, really started to see this like jealousy thoughts and feelings turn into something so much more like a kick in the teeth. Like, not a kick in the teeth. Kick in the teeth is not the right saying. Like a little bit of a push to get me into the next thing. And I'm seeing it as such a positive because I wouldn't have noticed those things had I not got jealous of that person. So I think it's a good thing. Something that's slightly less positive, but something to remember, is if you are starting to get a little bit, I don't know, it's getting a bit much. The jealousy is continuing. It's not stopping. Take a step back. Take a step away. Block the person, mute the person. Do what you can to not see what that person is doing if it's really, really stressing you out. I do think sometimes that if you are jealous and it's maybe someone really close to you, they've gone about it a bit of a shit way, or maybe it's someone that you really, really don't like and you don't want to be happy for them because they've done something to you. Take a step back. If it's on social media that you're seeing it, mute them, completely mute them, just get rid of them. Block them. If there's someone in your real life that you don't really want to see, try and find ways in which you can kind of avoid them. Obviously, it's not easy if you work with them, but if it's something that is making you feel really uncomfortable, maybe you can work from home a few more days. If that's something, speak to your manager. If it's something to do with work, and be like, look, I'm really not feeling very comfortable around them right now. Can I move? Can I sit somewhere else? Can I work in a different area? Can we swap teams? Etc., etc. do take a step back. If the jealousy is getting too much, take a step back. Because sometimes I'm sitting here saying it's easy, and it's not sometimes. Like, it's really not. Sometimes when you are deep within your jealousy and when you've got quite deep within it, it's hard to get back out of it. And that's why I want to talk about this in general, because I think there's so many ways you can stop yourself from getting into that hole. Sometimes when you're in the hole, you can't get out. There's no ladder. There's just mud. And you're like, how on earth am I going to get out of this? So I do understand. And I think sometimes it is just important to take a step back, reevaluate everything. Don't see that person. Take a moment, because sometimes you need it. I think we forget how often things do affect us a little bit more. Maybe it triggers something within you that you don't realize, and you're like, oh, I don't feel good about this. Take a step back. Just reevaluate before you continue, because I think, you know, when you feel really jealous about someone, especially when it's someone maybe you don't like, or someone that doesn't sit right with you, sometimes you need a little bit of a like, whoa, this is too much for me. Going back to the imagining it's your best friend, celebrating others. Celebrating others is so important. And I know I said this before, so I'm just going to recap on it. Celebrating others is so important. And it's actually really nice to celebrate other people. I live by the rule of, if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But when someone achieves something, it's important to say, well done, congratulations. Oh my God, you did it. This is so exciting. Regardless of whether you are excited or happy for them at all. Like, sometimes you're just not really happy for someone. Like, if you don't like them that much, they might not even know that you don't like them. But sometimes, you know, it's a bit like, just say congratulations, well done. Oh my God, so exciting. And, you know, most of the time when I say it, I genuinely mean it, because I wouldn't say it if I didn't. Like, I'm really, really bad at lying. I'm really bad at being fake. I can't do it. It drives me up the wall when people are fake. So obviously don't do it if you genuinely don't mean it. But like, if it's someone you don't really know and you're like, oh my God, congratulations. Like, when people are like, oh my God, I'm pregnant, I'm always like, congratulations. That's an exciting moment for that person. That's an exciting moment. Like, that is so exciting. Why wouldn't you congratulate them? Celebrate them. It's so exciting. Like, I think we get a lot of not wanting to congratulate people, because like, from that idea of like, oh my God, my brain's gone. Oh my God, I'm having brain fog. Why do we get that feeling? Oh yeah, if we don't want to, when we get that feeling of you not wanting to congratulate someone, it's like, almost like, if I don't congratulate them, then maybe they, like, you know, it makes me feel a bit better, because like, they're not doing as well or whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Sometimes we get that feeling of like, oh, I don't want to say it. They don't deserve that. I don't like them, so they don't deserve that. Everyone's on their own track, and everyone's going at different speeds, and some people just get to different places at different times, and just congratulate them. Ultimately, just say well done. Celebrate them. It's important. I just want to finish on one point, which I think is important, especially around the thoughts of jealousy, is try not to compare. When you see something that you're jealous of, naturally your instinct, your first thought is, why am I not there? Why have I not got that? Why am I not doing as well as her? Why am I not at this point? Remember that you can't compare yourself to the next person, and also look at that person, the type of person they are, what they've been doing and whatnot. If you are comparing yourself to someone who works in finance and they've just got their first house, and you work in a creative industry, remember that people in finance probably earn a lot more money because they choose to do a job that's kind of boring. Sorry if you're a finance bro or gal out there. I'm not digging at your job. I just can't understand the types of people. I mean, not everyone who does a finance job is going to be someone who like does it for the money, but I've heard that a majority of people that do those kind of jobs do it for the money more so than the love for it. Whereas I live in a world and a headspace where I believe that you should do something you love, because it's so much more fun and a better way of living your life. But I do also understand, if you want money, you got to do a job that gives you money. Finance is the way to do it. You know, finance, banking, that kind of area, which I don't understand any of, which is the main reason why I'm a creative and not a clever person that does something like that. But yeah, you can't compare yourself if you're a creative and someone who's in finance who earns a ton of money has just bought a house. Like, you can't compare yourself. You can't even compare yourself to, so for me, I'm someone who does, I'm an influencer, I do fashion. I can't compare myself to the next person who's wearing completely different outfits to me, something I wouldn't even wear. Like, why am I comparing myself to them hitting their goal when their style, their content is different to mine? You just can't compare yourself. Do you know what? I was watching Love Island the other day, and if you've been watching it, Leah in Love Island was talking to Montel, and she was like, how can you compare us? We're completely different. And I thought, yes, she got a really good point. She was like, there's no point you comparing me to the next, like, you can't sit there and be like, we get on better. You're completely different people. There's no comparison there. We're just so stuck in this idea that you should compare yourself to the next person when actually you're different for a reason. Everyone's different for a reason. And you've got to use that as your, like, superpower. That is something that makes you you. So try your best when you feel these jealousy feelings not to instantly go into comparison. You're going to feel the feeling. You're going to feel a bit shit for a moment. That's normal. That's okay. But then when you realize, oh, okay, I'm comparing myself, look at it and think, no, we're different. Tell yourself we're different. There's no point comparing us here. We're at different points of life. We're different. Remember that. You're definitely different. So yeah, those are my little thoughts on jealousy and how to turn it into inspiration. Do go read the Manifest book by Roxy Nafusi. Highly, highly recommend. The first one, defo read. The second one's actually got more information, different information in it. To the first one, it's also got more like exercises and stuff in it. So definitely read both of them, but read the first one for sure if you're not sure which one to go for, but highly recommend. And remember, you've still got time to turn your jealousy into inspiration. And if you want any tips, tricks, want me to talk about this more, send me a message on the Still Got Time podcast Instagram or TikTok. I'm loving the TikTok. Please come over and say hi. Send me a message on there. I read all your messages, all your comments. Sometimes I don't get around to reading them all straight away, but I do read them all. Or you can send me a message on my Instagram, which is I am Charlotte Olivia. I'm always happy to have a chat if you need to have a chat or if you've got an idea for a podcast topic, send them my way because I'm always open to chatting about things that you guys want to hear. So anyway, gonna love you and leave you, and I will see you all next week. Bye.